there's just this child still crying out for help, and yet it's almost like she can't process the help that's there. And maybe it's almost like she's got this wall down. It's like she's protecting herself from whatever might be out there. And it's as a carer, and she is so much part of our family. It's quite scary.
We have similar with our young person, that he's had so much therapy and so many people helping him that he could stand up and give it out to everybody else because he so gets it, he so understands it, but it's that fear of taking that step into that unknown and being that person and letting go of all of these things that he just can't, even though he doesn't like the place that he's at, or sometimes the world that he lives in, because of the decisions that he makes. That fear to take that first step into where we're saying is a better place, he just can't do it.
Yeah, her words will be to us is it's not fun being me. And she's got a fabulous personality and she's clever, but you've just got to keep telling her and reminding her every day, and just telling her that she will get through it, and that you're there as support.
My children, their self-esteem and their self-worth have kind of got this deep-rooted sense of shame, and I think a lot of adopted children who've been in the care system do have this, and along with the trauma that they've suffered cognitively, they're kind of half their age. So what I find is I praise them for things that you probably would praise a toddler for. So I'm constantly, oh, good job, or you've picked your cup up, or you've moved your plate, like things that you would praise a toddler for, I praise them for all the time. Getting your shoes on, and they're 11, 12 and 13, but all things like that. And I feel like I've convinced myself that's the way to do it, and that's going to eventually sink in.
It will.
Yeah,
it
but
will.
it's so difficult watching your child feel like, my little boy says to me all the time, and he's 13, you would hate to be me. You would hate to be me. And that's just, it's absolutely heartbreaking.
So they're saying something very similar, aren't they?
Oh, they are. They all are, yeah. And that's what makes me think that it's not all random. So if there's a pattern to all of that, there has to be a pattern to how to help them and how to resolve it. So in a way that actually, it's really sad, but it scares me less, makes me less scared. And I suppose that goes back to, you don't feel alone. It's not your children alone who are feeling like this, it's lots of children.
I think one of the things that's hard for us is that both our children are academically excelling, and people only say that, and they don't say because academically they're way ahead of their age, but emotionally they're so below it, the same as what you've just been saying. So the way you've got to respond to them, you can't respond to them like an adult, even though they come across like that, 16-year-old. You can't, they're not really at that age emotionally. You've got to, talk to them at their level and understand, and like you say, praise them for baby things.
To us, that's something that we find, once you've got your head around it, it becomes second nature. But you can understand why that is probably quite tricky for a teacher in a class of 14-year-olds and also my children are very clever, and the teachers at their school are fantastic, and they're aware of not wanting to make them appear to be different. So praising them for things that they would be praising the peers for would make them stand out in a classroom. So it's so tricky. It's such a fine line to try and get it right. But I think if you lower your expectations and think toddler, that's the best advice ever in pretty much any situation, because you want to nurture a toddler. You would always just want to nurture and protect a toddler. So if you can try, and it's hard when they're throwing a door down the stairs that they've just pulled off its hinges, or smashed the third television in a year. It's very, very hard to want to protect and nurture, but they are the times where if you can pull it out of the bag, then you are making a difference, and you are fixing the little souls if you can do that. Definitely.
I think you just got to learn to enjoy the good days and the good bits, and try and not beat yourself up too much about the bad bits. But there are good bits, and I think again the praise, and you look nice today, your hair's nice, it's the little thing, it's the little tiny things, and just showing that you can help them not self-destruct themselves, because that's what the journey she's going on at the moment, our young lady, and that there is, and remember that day, that bad situation isn't going to last forever, and that the good times will come.
Absolutely.
And you've got to look beyond that moment and just get through the bad times and look forward and be optimistic. Be optimistic.
What we say is just keep saying to yourself that tomorrow will be better, because tomorrow mightn't be better, but there will be a tomorrow that's better. So to be optimistic and keep saying tomorrow will be better, that tomorrow will come.
Yesterday I picked my 3 up, and I went out of my way before I picked them up to get them a treat, because yesterday was the first day that all 3 were in school, from the start of school to the finish of school, in probably well over 7 or 8 months. And when I picked them all up, I tried to keep it low key, because you kind of get too excitable, but I just said, today has been a triumph, and everyone needs to know, and what does triumph mean, and so we kind of chatted about that, and said that, and I convinced myself by doing that yesterday had been a triumph, and that made me feel happy and less tired, and so it is the key. It's recognising, I call them pockets of happiness. No one's happy, absolutely nobody, with a perfectly neurotypical, healthy, securely attached, securely mentally healthy life. No one's happy all the time on this planet, but you have pockets of happiness. Like after I dropped the kids off yesterday, I seen a tiny horse. It was the tiniest little horse I'd ever seen, and that made me truly happy, just like looking at that horse. But I make myself say it out loud to myself, and that was a little pocket of happiness. And saying it out loud, you're telling yourself that you're happy, and then your body's like, oh yeah, I'm happy. And then yes, you'll then get a phone call from school or something will happen, but you've had a pocket of happiness that day.
You're very good at mindfulness.
Have to be.